military attack on Israel started to emerge, the Israeli PR machine went into overdrive. Its propaganda blitz was predictable, and its objective was clear: shock the Western public into supporting Israel's plan to carry out the wholesale destruction of the besieged Gaza Strip. In its campaign to manufacture consent for mass death, the Israeli government found no greater ally than the unquestioning marionettes that serve as the faces and voices of U.S. mainstream media. The propaganda blitz began roughly 72 hours after October 7th, when claims that Hamas had beheaded 40 babies in Kibbutz Be'eri were first broadcast on the Israeli television channel I-24.
Saturday morning.
The report was delivered by Nicole Zedek, an American-born correspondent who openly admitted the gruesome details were based on witness testimony supplied by Israeli soldiers who had responded to the scene at Kibbutz Be'eri.
One of the commanders here said at least 40 babies were killed. Some of them their heads cut off. He said he's never seen acts of brutality like this.
Her source was in fact a single soldier named David Zion.
Door after door, we killed a lot of the terrorists. We're stronger than them. They are aggressive. They are very bad. They cut head of children, cut head of women.
So who exactly is David Zion? As we revealed at the Gray Zone, when he's not in an Israeli army uniform, Zion serves as a political leader of the Shomron Council, a group that represents 35 illegal settlements in the northern West Bank. Just prior to October 7th, Zion incited deadly riots against Palestinian citizens in the town of Huwara, declaring the village of Huwara should be wiped out. This place is a nest of terror, and the punishment should be for everyone. So is this violent fanatic a credible source? Mainstream media outlets didn't even bother to ask. And of course, neither did the Israeli government.
Babies, I can tell you that they, some of them, heads were cut off. This is what we're hearing from from soldiers on the ground, of toddlers and children. And yes, they cut off heads. They cut off heads.
The bogus story exploded into the mainstream during a primetime CNN broadcast on October 10th. It was there that the network's correspondent, Sarah Seidner, cited the outlandish claim of 40 beheaded babies in Kibbutz Be'eri as a verified, established fact.
We have some really disturbing new information out of Israel. The Israeli Prime Minister's spokesman just confirmed babies and toddlers were found with their heads decapitated in Kfar Aza in southern Israel after Hamas attacks in the kibbutz over the weekend.
Later that day, President Joe Biden grumbled about babies being killed.
Stomach-turning reports of babies being killed.
Soon after, the president claimed to have personally seen photographs of the beheaded babies.
I never really thought that I would see and have confirmed pictures of terrorists beheading children.
And from there, the atrocity narrative went viral.
We have tried to live next to them, and the result was beheaded babies.
If we cannot condemn evil acts, raping, murdering women, young girls, kidnapping grandmothers, beheading babies.
Israeli military and civilian officials have now confirmed to CBS News that children were among the victims beheaded in the Hamas attack on one community.
They found babies and adults decapitated and babies and adults burnt to death.
There were babies that had been beheaded.
Soldiers say some of the victims were decapitated.
They killed them and they cut some of their heads.
The children that were beheaded, the babies that were burnt alive, that's a tragedy.
Do you care about the babies that were beheaded?
The Israeli army and government press office, as well as the Biden White House, eventually walked back and retracted these claims altogether. Once it was plastered across the front pages of papers all across the US and Europe, the damage was already done, no matter how fabricated it might have been. And Israel then had all the political space it needed to carry out one sadistic act after another. Even as the beheaded baby story was exposed as a complete and total hoax, Israel and its proxies fed the media new tales of atrocities. Many of these came from one particular individual, Yossi Landau, a religious fanatic from a self-described rescue organization known as Zaka.
Of this 14, 15-year-old, head chopped off. We were looking around for the head, couldn't find it.
Despite lacking any forensic credentials or paramedic training, Zaka volunteers were typically the first on the scene, and therefore able to make the most outlandish claims.
When we go into a house, and we're using our imagination.
And what an imagination he has.
Piles of 10 children each were tied to the back, burned to death.
And when we go into a house, and we see on one side of the dining room, was parents, father and mother, hands tied to the back. And the other side of the room, against them, there was 2 children, a girl and a boy. The same position, they were tortured. Main thing, and I wouldn't call them animals, to open up all the food that was prepared for the holiday, and these terrorists sitting and eating while torching the father and the kids, their parents and the kids. They should see each other how they were being tortured. How evil could that be?
Landau's lies were promptly amplified by Israeli officials.
Took dozens of children, bound them up, burned them, and executed them. They beheaded soldiers.
Their American counterparts, including Secretary Antony Blinken, were equally obliging.
A family of 4, a young boy and girl, 6 and 8 years old, and their parents around the breakfast table. The father, his eye gouged out in front of his kids. The mother's breast cut off. The girl's foot amputated. The boy's fingers cut off before they were executed. And then their executioners sat down and had a meal.
There was just one problem for Landau and those who amplified his questionable claims. No bodies found in Kibbutz Be'eri matched the descriptions he made. The story of the beheaded babies was also implausible according to official Israeli government data, which confirmed that only one baby, 11-month-old Mila Cohen, was killed on October 7. Just one, and she was tragically shot by accident through a door, not decapitated. Landau also claimed to possess photos of a fetus that Hamas had cut from a pregnant woman's body.
Or when you go in, you see a lady face down. You turn her around, she was pregnant woman. The stomach is butchered up, and a knife is still stacked in that baby. The unborn baby.
Yet the images never materialized, even after the media requested them. One fact Landau did prove, however, was that the business of fabricating atrocity porn is extremely lucrative. Before October 7th, his Zaka organization was nearly broke, but in the aftermath of the propaganda bonanza they fueled, they raked in over $13 million in donations in just a short amount of time. The Israeli paper Haaretz reported that Zaka volunteers were so desperate to cash in on October 7th that they actually rearranged corpses discovered in the kibbutzim, literally playing with dead bodies in order to exaggerate the sense of horror before sending the images to potential donors. One of Zaka's competitor organizations, United Hatzalah, was eager to cash in as well. It sent its director, Eli Beer, to a Republican Jewish Coalition fundraiser. There, Beer rattled off a slew of lies that Yossi Landau would have been proud to have concocted.
I saw in my own eyes a woman who was pregnant, 4 months pregnant. They came into her house in front of her kids, opened up her stomach, took out the baby and stabbed the little tiny baby in front of her, and then shot her in front of her family. And then they killed the rest of the kids. I saw little kids who were beheaded. We didn't know which head belongs to which kid. We saw a little baby in an oven. They put him in, these bastards put these babies in an oven and put on the oven. We found the kid a few hours later.
The story of a baby baked in an oven, clearly contrived to evoke the horrors of the Holocaust, was immediately catapulted into the mainstream pro-Israel press.
They baked their baby in the oven and kept the woman alive so that she could hear the screams of her child melting.
The little children that were put in the oven.
Attacks that saw a baby put in an oven and baked alive.
And even though this lie was also quickly debunked, it contributed to the narrative that Israel was confronting quote-unquote human animals, as its defense minister Yoav Gallant put it. And it therefore had the right to do anything, absolutely anything, to prevent another October 7th.
אנחנו מטילים מצור מוחלט על העיר עזה. אין חשמל,